Okay, so we were talking about the stones that Yaakov put around his head. Right? Now let's look at it from the point of view of the Alter Rebbe. We're on Daf Kaf Beis. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn a short selections from Torah Or. Hopefully finish it tomorrow. And his explanation on what was Yaakov trying to do by taking one stone. What does that even help? Taking one stone and putting it around his head, or many stones and turned into one stone. This is a very vivid image. It's one of these images that you could say is probably one of the if you would ask a Jew who's in Torah, like what images do you have of Yiddishkeit? So you have the parting of the Red Sea, you have the man coming down, and this is one of them. That Yaakov puts these stones around his head and they fuse into one. It's a Rashi everybody knows. It's very graphic. It's very dramatic also. You can't miss it. By the way, I told you at the beginning of the week that I didn't know of a pshat, of how you could explain this that would actually make sense without the Rebbe's question. Why do you only encircle the head? Why do you do? So it actually turns out that I didn't learn enough. I don't have enough learning. So I sat down one evening and I said, okay, I'm going to look at all the Pashtanim and see what they say. So most of them just explain the word Merashotav differently. The Chizkuni has like a whole different idea. He says, so Merashotav, they say, it doesn't mean around his head, it means under him. So what does it mean? It means that he lay on top of a big stone, a big slab. Some kind of slab that he slept on, and it was raised above the ground, so he didn't have any trouble with scorpions or whatever they can't climb up it. Chizkuni goes, I think it was a Chizkuni, or maybe it was Chatam Sofer. No, it was Chizkuni. It said that Vayalen b'makom, Vayifga b'makom vayalen sham, that he came to this place, a designated place, and that's where he slept. So he says that's an indication that this was an inn. It was a place that was meant for people to sleep. Hamakom, what place? It says a pshat. I know that sages tell us that this was the place of the Akedah. It was the place of where the temple would eventually be built. But it says the pshat is not like that. The plain meaning is just that he came to some designated place, and that designated place was an inn. So there's no problem with wild animals. The whole thing of wild animals doesn't even start. The most interesting one was when I say no, it doesn't mean it's just not like Rashi at all. It doesn't. It's completely. I said the Pashtanim don't follow Rashi. Rashi is an attempt to explain the pshat according to the sages. The other Pashtanim, the other plain commentaries that follow the plain meaning of the text, they don't necessarily try to bring the sages' opinions into this. They study the Torah in a very, how should I say, like, in a very open fashion. They're freestyle. Okay, whatever I think of, whatever comes to me. So in any case, there were other explanations. Most of them have to do with understanding the word Merashotav differently, and it doesn't mean under his head or around his head. The Ibn Ezra, who's very big on language, says Merashotav means like Margelotav. I don't know how we can say that, but that's what he says. It's the same. It means it's around him. Merashotav means like around him. Okay. In any case. So let's see what the Alter Rebbe says here. So we can't forget that this stone, in the plain meaning of the text, Yaakov then says, this stone will be a monument, and it will become the house of God. That's a very big statement. This stone is going to become the house of God. Well, what's with this stone? So the Alter Rebbe takes it in the direction that we did, And he says, if we look on Kaf Beis Aleph, towards the middle, Avanim Hen, something here, Avanim Hen. Avanim Hen otiyot. Like we said, that stones are letters. As it says in the Book of Formation, two stones erect 2 houses, and 3 stones erect 6 houses, and so on, because we're talking about permutations of letters and creating language, creating sentences in the mind. But I took this as many stones, and it's whatever type of statements you make in your mind that become your house of refuge in times of difficulty. Right? That the person has to build up his psychology in such a way that he's full of sentences, he's full of an approach to life. He builds a conceptual scheme that can save him in times of stormy weather. He has somewhere to go into, he has shelter. And shelter in the mind is made out of these stones, it's made out of sentences, out of words. That's how we create. But the Alter Rebbe takes this more literally, and he sort of boils it down to one point. What is the common denominator of all these good sentences that a person can have in his mind that will carry him through the troubled times in life? So he says that's why it says that he took 1 stone. Good. So he talks about just as from many stones you build a shelter for a person, same way many sentences create a shelter inside. So from these sentences I understand this new concept. And again, this concept is what's going to save me. That's what's going to provide me with shelter. And then he says, and this brings down, this is something we didn't talk about, that when I have words in my head, that is not yet mindfulness. That's not the same thing. It's like, let's say somebody taught me to say, every time you get angry, so count down from 10 to 1, or from 100 to 1. Try counting at 100, 99, 98, 97, it calms you down. You're using words, and you're using this concept, and all this is doing is it's a routine that you adapt, and then you come and you say, this is what I'm going to use in order to calm myself down. And it works, it's very nice. So he says that is still inanimate. Those are just stones. The real purpose is that when you count down from 100 to 1, you come to a realization, what am I getting angry about? There's no point in getting angry here. In fact, if I'm getting angry, I don't believe that this is God's doing. Yesterday, I was waiting for some store to open, and there was a place to sit there with a table and chairs, because it was next to a falafel stand or whatever. And I sat there and I was learning. And there was a group of guys that collected around another table. And everything was fine and dandy. I was waiting for a long time, half an hour. I finished a lot of a lot of learning. At some point, one of them turned around and he starts shaking my table. He didn't shake my table because he was a bad guy. He shook my table because he wanted to get my attention. He says to me, "No, Rabbi, teach us something." Because he sees me sitting there with a book. But I didn't know how to say this. Afterwards, I thought I should have shared more of my feelings. My feeling was, I'm in the middle still of taking in. I can't yet regurgitate. And if I regurgitate, it'll be half-formed. I haven't fully understood what I've just read. I can talk about something else, but this is where I am right now. So I was waiting for half an hour for the store to open. So I took it, I stopped for a second, I didn't get angry at him, and I looked at him and said, what can I do? I can't teach right now. I didn't explain why. And it also happened very fast. And then I got up and I left. And he was very, very apologetic. He was like, I didn't mean to disturb you. I told him, it's fine. It's not you. You're a sign from heaven that I should not wait anymore for the storm. I need to go about my day. Forget about it. Oh, come another day.
What happened?
No, that was it.
It never opened?
I don't know if it opened. I left. It wasn't there anymore. So, what was it? That you see the process in yourself. Right. I could have taught him something, right? Yeah, they all had the Yom Kippur. Everybody's like Ben Gvir now. They're all the same. Nice guys. I mean, like in their 20s, searching for what to do in life. And Torah is not one. But one of them came and said, "We want to learn." But he didn't know how to say it. He didn't say he says, "Rabbi, why don't you teach us something?" or something like that. I could have, but I took it as a sign. Stop wasting your time here. It could have been that the right thing would have been to teach them. Maybe not. Hard to say. I don't know. Maybe. But I didn't feel like I was in a position at that moment to. I was really in a state of taking in, and I had been learning for 2 hours by that time. I was sitting by that store for 30 minutes, but before that I was learning here after davening finished, and I was really, really immersed in it, and I couldn't make the switch. I didn't feel that like I could do the switch that easily. In any case, why am I telling this whole story? Because if somebody shakes you're trying to concentrate. Somebody shakes your table, you're getting upset at them, and probably would have gotten upset 10 years ago, but things change. Not because I'm not upset. I am upset, but the moment that I get upset, it's like, wait a minute. Can you get upset? Are you allowed to get upset? What am I getting upset on? Let's hear what he says. Let's see. Let's wait. Let's give it some benefit of the doubt that maybe there's something good that's going on. And then he said, "We want you to teach us." So I was very moved. It was like, the guy, he doesn't know how to express it any better way. This is how he gets his message across, and it's fine. Because his message in the end is a very good message. He's sitting there, shooting the wind, as they say, doing nothing. And he says, let's hear something. So I'm giving that as an example that the weight, give it the benefit of the doubt, is not the mochin yet. It's not yet the recognition of what does this situation mean, of where am I. It's just the framework. And then into that you have to add an understanding of what this situation really is. That's the mochin, that's what comes later. So he says, what does this all mean? So he says that really he took one stone. He didn't take all the stones. So what is this one stone that he took? What is so special about this one stone? So he says here, V'nei ktiv. It should be here. Did you change the page? No, you didn't. So why can I find it? V'nei ktiv. V'nei ktiv v'yikach me'avnei hamakom ve'lo kol avnei. He says he took one stone from the stones that were in that place. He didn't take all of them. So what does that mean? It indicates that there's one letter that's more important than all the other letters. Which letter is this? Not all the stones, not all the letters have the capacity to bring down this new way of thought that you need to bring down in order to deal with your situation. What's the special letter? Ela ha'ot yud. It's only the yud. Why the yud? Shehu kli lechokhma, because the yud designates wisdom. Vechokhma hu koach ma b'chinat bitul. And chokhma, wisdom, is the inner experience of self-nullification. Bitul. And because you hold on to this letter, which is the smallest of all the letters, it's like lessening yourself, self-nullification, making yourself into like just a point, that allows the new type of understanding to flow down. So we've talked about this thing many, many times, and we're going to have to finish with it. But we've talked about this many times, that the wisdom in the intellect is the power that opens you up to the crown. Right? The more self-nullification you have, the more the crown can flow down. The crown is a super consciousness. It's what you cannot be conscious of normally. So wisdom is like the faucet that you turn to allow the flow to come through. Okay? The more self-nullification you have, the more flows down. The more comes down. What's that which comes down? The God's will. It comes down, and it comes down in the form of new thoughts about what might be the right response in this situation. It's how to deal with these situations, these storms that we suddenly have. What I just described is not a tremendous storm, but it's uncomfortable. There's something there that's out of the normal, out of the usual. Okay, but the moment that I think, wait a minute, there's a message here, I nullify myself. I'm willing to hear the message so the message can appear. So again, the statement that I have in my mind is, give reality the benefit of the doubt. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Let them work it through. Let's see what happens. And when you let it happen, suddenly something new comes down. What was the something new? So the first thing that came down was, maybe I should teach them. Then I felt myself and I said, no, I can't. That's not what the message is. I gave it a little bit more time. I said, what the message is very simple. Is I need to leave. I need to stop waiting. I waited enough. It's not going to happen. It'll come in 2 minutes. It'll come in 2 minutes. But I have other things to do. And from heavens, they're telling me, move on. Keep moving. It's time to move on. You're enjoying yourself very much. You enjoy learning here. It's very nice. It gave an atmosphere, so much so that it affected some of the guys who were sitting next to you. And they also want something. But you have to move on. You have to go and continue with your day. Okay, so tomorrow we'll look at a few more points from this mimer, from this essay. And okay, so tomorrow at 7:30.